He had always been a quiet student, the kind who drifted to the back of the classroom, taking in lessons not just with his mind, but with a kind of silent observation that most teachers never noticed. But her presence was impossible to ignore. From the first day she stepped into the classroom, carrying herself with confidence and a warmth that softened even the strictest rules. He felt a gravity he could not resist, a pull that made the hours stretch and shrink all at once. Every word she spoke echoing in his mind long after the lesson ended. She was more than a teacher to him. She was a lighthouse in a world of confusion and expectation, someone whose voice brought clarity and whose gaze made him feel seen in a way no one else ever had. It began subtly, noticing the way her hair caught the morning light, the quiet confidence in the way she moved between desks, the gentle but firm way she guided discussions, or the soft laugh that broke the tension when the class stumbled over a concept. Soon, his thoughts began to linger on her long after the school bell had rung. In the library where he studied alone, on his walks home through quiet streets, and even in the small moments when he should have been focusing on homework, there was a sense of reverence in the way he watched her, not just physical admiration, though that was undeniable, but fascination with her mind. The way she explained ideas encouraged curiosity and balanced authority with approachability. He knew he was crossing invisible boundaries with his feelings, yet the awareness only sharpened the intensity, creating a constant tension between desire and restraint. Each time she called on him in class, he felt the blood rush to his face, not just from embarrassment, but from the electric awareness of being singled out by someone who mattered to him more than anyone else in the world. And though he told himself it was admiration, inspiration, respect, any word that sounded acceptable, he could not deny the flutter of hope. Every time her gaze lingered slightly longer than necessary, or when she smiled at a comment he made, small gestures that became monumental in his mind. Nights were the hardest. Lying in bed, replaying every interaction, analyzing every nuance, imagining conversations that never happened, wondering if he could ever tell her, and fearing the consequences if he did. The love he felt was as exhilarating as it was forbidden, a secret held close to his chest, a fire he fed quietly, nourished by moments of connection and tempered by the impossibility of openly expressing it. And so he lived in this quiet tension, walking the line between respect and longing, learning lessons of patience, discretion, and the kind of love that thrives in shadows, growing more powerful with every passing day. If you like this story, please take a second and subscribe. This will motivate us to bring more stories for you. Days turned into weeks, and the connection, though unspoken, became undeniable. He noticed the way she lingered near the classroom door when he entered, the way she asked questions that seemed tailored to his curiosity, and the subtle encouragement in her corrections. Each word carefully chosen, yet layered with warmth that sent shivers down his spine. He found himself volunteering for extra tasks, staying after class just to watch her organize materials, to hear her hum softly to herself as she graded papers, to feel the brush of her presence, even if she didn't notice him beyond her professional gaze. The more he watched, the more he understood that his attraction was more than fleeting admiration. It was a profound fascination with her intellect, her kindness, the rare way she balanced firmness with empathy. There were afternoons in the empty classroom when he would sit pretending to study, while she rearranged books or scribbled notes, their proximity creating an almost tangible tension, a charge that made his heart race yet demanded careful restraint. He imagined conversations that never happened, her leaning in as she explained a concept, her eyes meeting his, and the silent acknowledgement that they were aware of each other in a way no one else could comprehend. Outside of class, his thoughts were consumed by her presence. A casual comment she had made, the way her laughter sounded in the hallway, The gentle authority in her posture, each detail became etched into his memory. He wrote notes to himself he would never send, letters full of longing, sketches of moments he wanted to share, and he began to understand that loving someone like her was a lesson in patience, reverence, and self-control. Yet despite the impossibility of their situation, he began to notice subtle signs, moments where her gaze lingered, encouragement in his ideas, soft smiles that seemed meant only for him, that made him believe she, too, recognized a bond that went beyond ordinary student-teacher dynamics. Every glance, every small gesture became a language of its own, charged with a mixture of hope and fear, desire and propriety. And he learned to read it, to savor it quietly, knowing that in this forbidden affection, even the smallest interaction carried weight and meaning. Nights were filled with dreaming of impossible scenarios, of whispered conversations in empty classrooms, of hands brushing over notebooks, of shared secrets and silent confessions. Each day, the line between admiration and love blurred, until he realized he was falling deeper, not just for her beauty or charm, but for the completeness she seemed to bring to his inner world, the way she stirred thoughts and emotions that he had never allowed himself to feel before. And yet, the awareness of boundaries, of ethics, of the world that would never condone their connection, made every encounter sweeter, sharper, more intoxicating, as if the tension itself was a crucible forging the intensity of his feelings into something that might endure even in silence. I hope you have subscribed. If not, please take a moment and subscribe. As the semester progressed, their unspoken connection deepened in ways he could neither name nor fully understand. Every class became a delicate dance, a balancing act where his attention to her grew more intense while his outward composure remained flawless. His notebook filled not only with lessons but with sketches of fleeting expressions. The curve of her smile, the way her fingers moved when she wrote on the board. There were moments when she lingered just a second too long at his desk, offering feedback that was unusually detailed, her hand brushing papers he had touched, sending a thrill that made him want to retreat and collapse with the weight of emotion he could not release aloud. Outside of class, he replayed every glance, every inflection in her voice, every subtle nod or encouragement, analyzing them for meaning, for signs that the bond was mutual. He began to understand that love, in its most potent form, could exist entirely in the spaces between words, in glances and gestures and silences pregnant with possibility, and that sometimes the mind and heart could communicate more truthfully than speech ever could. His obsession was tempered by respect. He would never act impulsively, never speak the words that could destroy what little intimacy they had. Yet every careful choice he made seemed to draw them closer in ways the world could not see. After class, she would occasionally pause at the door, a question lingering on her lips, an expression that betrayed interest, and his chest would tighten as though he were both drowning and soaring at once. He found himself writing poetry, letters he would never send, reflections that explored the depth of his feelings, translating unspoken desire into art because he had no other outlet. Sleep became a restless space where he imagined shared secrets, quiet walks, conversations that could never happen without consequences. Yet each dream felt unbearably real, each scenario embedding her more deeply into his life than the rules of propriety allowed. He began to understand love as a paradox, a force that could bring both euphoria and torment. Intimacy without contact, devotion without reward, a consuming fire that demanded patience, observation, and restraint. And in those moments, he realized the enormity of what he felt. It was not a fleeting crush, not simple infatuation, but a deep, abiding love rooted in respect, admiration, and the sheer weight of presence. A love that transformed his perception of the world, of connection, and of himself. leaving him simultaneously alive, tormented, and awake in a way that nothing else ever had. The final weeks of the semester brought a tension that was almost unbearable, a mixture of anticipation, fear, and longing that saturated every interaction. He noticed the way she paused at his desk longer than before, offering words that were unusually kind, notes that lingered with subtext, guidance that seemed to carry a personal investment beyond the classroom. Each encounter became a delicate symphony of restraint, their emotions threaded through gestures and glances, every word measured, every look weighted with unspoken meaning. He caught himself imagining possibilities that could never be acted upon openly. Quiet moments in an empty classroom, the brush of her hand over a notebook, shared laughter that carried intimacy beyond explanation. The culmination came during the last week of term, when the room was nearly empty, sunlight spilling across the polished floor, and for the first time, she lingered beside him in a way that felt deliberate, her voice softer, her eyes more intent, as though she were aware of the depth of the connection he had cultivated silently over months. He felt both exhilaration and fear, knowing boundaries existed that neither of them could cross without consequence. Yet the understanding that they had shared something profound, something almost sacred, was undeniable. In that moment, he realized that love did not always require possession or fulfillment, that the intensity of connection, even in silence or an impossibility, could transform a life. He left the classroom that day with a heart fuller than it had ever been, carrying her presence with him like a secret treasure, a memory that shaped him without diminishing her integrity or his own. Over time, the love he had felt matured into quiet reverence, a guiding force that informed his choices, his empathy, and the way he engaged with the world. Even as semesters passed and life demanded his attention elsewhere, the memory of her, her voice, her gaze, her subtle encouragements remained a constant, a reminder that the most profound connections are sometimes the ones that cannot exist openly, yet endure in the spaces between words, in the heartbeat of shared presence, and in the silent understanding that to love deeply sometimes means to honor boundaries while cherishing intimacy that transcends action. And in that quiet understanding, he discovered the rarest of truths, that love can exist fully and eternally, not in possession, but in memory, respect, and the transformative power of being seen and understood by someone extraordinary. If you want to listen to more romantic stories, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We work really hard to bring these stories to you, so your likes truly matter. Feel free to share your own stories in the comments below. We look forward to that.